Our day at the Kennedy Space Center started out with our getting to meet Space Shuttle astronaut Mark Lee. We got to ask him questions and to pose with him for pictures. Then it was time for an early lunch. We toured the exhibit buildings to check out some of the neat displays. We also saw the 3D IMAX movie, Space Station. Then it was time to board a special tour bus that would take us to some of the restricted areas at the Kennedy Space Center. Coming into view is the giant vehicle assembly building where the space shuttle is prepared for launch. It is one of the largest buildings in the world. And here we see one of the mobile launch platforms. This whole platform will be moved to the launch pad with the space shuttle on it. Now we are in an actual mission control room where the Apollo moon rockets were launched. This is the giant Saturn V rocket that carried men to the moon. It is the most powerful rocket ever built. From here we got a great view of the shuttle Discovery sitting on the launch pad. NASA scientists hope to launch the shuttle this July. Marcus took time to call his girlfriend with this special space phone. 2 of our students are controlling these robotic rovers. They are just like the ones that are currently on the planet Mars. This is a replica of the lunar rover that astronauts used to ride around on the surface of the moon. Here I am doing my impression of a fish. This is the beautiful rocket garden at the Kennedy Space Center. These are all actual working rockets that were originally built to go into space. Let's see how many students we can cram into a one-man Mercury capsule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How about a 3-man Apollo capsule? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hurry up, we haven't got all day. 9, 10, 11, 12. On a more serious note, this memorial wall was built to honor the men and women who have lost their lives exploring space. Many people don't realize that the Kennedy Space Center sits in the middle of the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. Many wild animals native to Florida can be seen in the swamps and canals around the Space Center. We took time out for some water sports. Then it was time for us to shop till we dropped. This is only the first part of our exciting 2-day trip to the Kennedy Space Center. We'll have part 2 of this presentation on a future morning show. After our great day at the Kennedy Space Center, it was time to head to McDonald's for some chow. After McDonald's, we headed to our hotel. By this time, it was getting dark, and we all waited in the bus while Miss McDaniel went in to get our room keys. An unplanned party started on the bus while we were in the hotel parking lot.
You guys gonna be bears on your morning show! Another one everyone knows! So right!
Then we all went to our rooms to change. It was time to hit the pool. A couple of kids checked out the hotel game room. All good things must come to an end. We had a big day coming up on Friday, and it was time to get out of the pool and go to bed. But the fun wasn't quite over yet. A pillow fight broke out in my room. And in the 8th grade boys' room, there was an all-out brawl. $11 and time for lights out. Good night, everybody.
That's my arm!
It's early Friday morning at our beautiful hotel near the Kennedy Space Center. Students are dressing and packing up to go. We have a big day ahead of us. First, we head back to the McDonald's for some breakfast. This McDonald's has a game room and Miss McDaniel let us play some air hockey. Then it's off to space camp and a day of astronaut training. First, we attend a pre-flight briefing. Then it's time for some exercises to loosen up. This device is the Multiple Axis Space Test Inertia Simulator. Our film isn't speeded up. It really goes this fast. This is the 16G Low Gravity Simulator. Here, we experience what it would be like to walk on the surface of the moon. Now it is time to experience a simulated shuttle mission. Some of our students have jobs in mission control. Others play the role of astronauts and board the simulated shuttle. The commander of this mission is Kyle Davidson. He readies the shuttle for launch. The pilot is Nathan Lund. Everyone can talk to everyone else on headphones. Mission Control says that we are go for launch. The experience is very elaborate and realistic. Students in Mission Control can even see the astronauts in the shuttle on video monitors. I was assigned as a mission specialist. One of my jobs was to monitor the health of the other astronauts. 2 other mission specialists prepare for a spacewalk to work on the assembly of the International Space Station. While we couldn't actually walk in space, the experience we did have was pretty close to the real thing. And here are the astronauts returning to Earth after a successful mission. After our space training experience, we got to tour the Astronauts Hall of Fame, which is right next door. This wonderful 2-day, all-expenses paid field trip was made possible by donations from Bright House Cable and other corporate partners. We also want to thank our parent chaperones and our 2 teacher chaperones, Miss Smithwick and Mr. Wehust. Most of all, we want to thank Miss McDaniel. Her many weeks of preparation and hard work made all of this possible.
Smile, you're on the morning show. The aquarium was really cool. Inside we saw all kinds of live reality shows, including Otters Behind the Fur, America's Most Wanted Gators, When Seaweed Drifts, Ray's Baseball. Oh, just see for yourself.
Smile, everybody. You're on the morning show.
This is what Kevin became a fish.
Of course, it wasn't only the sea life that went a little wacky in the aquarium.
About to see a death-defying feat here.
Outside the aquarium, the crazy good times continued on a catamaran headed out to the bay. And what Stewart trip would be complete without a little air action, even on a boat? In fact, our students were completely blown away by what they saw. The tour nearly ended 100% dolphin-free, but at the end, suddenly they were upon us.
The whole crew.
All in all, it was an excellent day for the Stewart crew. All hands were back safe. Now back to Stewart Mission Control.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting a flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, we'll go down in flame.
This past Tuesday, some of our students got to go to the beautiful Crystal Springs Nature Preserve in Pasco County. Let's take a look at some of the scenes from this great field trip. Crystal Springs Preserve is located on the Hillsborough River in southern Pasco County. Natural springs on the property produce more than 40 million gallons of water per day. Some of the water is bottled and sold as Zephyr Hills spring water. The rest of it flows into the Hillsborough River, past our school, and on to Tampa Bay.
Our tour started with a hike along the river.
Here, our students are standing in a field of false pennyroyal plants. When these plants are stepped on, they give off a wonderful minty fragrance.
We saw several wild snakes along the river. This is a brown water snake.
And this hard-to-see snake is a yellow rat snake.
Last year, students from Stewart planted a garden at Crystal Springs. We went back to see how the garden is doing and to do some more planting.
Because we are a technology school, the folks at Crystal Spring made our garden high-tech. This equipment monitors water quality and weather conditions and sends the data to the Environmental Protection Agency with a special satellite uplink.
Now it was time for lunch.
Here, students explore what is known as a sand boil. Pure spring water flows up through the sand. This process is entirely natural.
Our students conducted some water quality tests while we were at Crystal Springs.
Our last stop was the science lab, where we got to see some captive animals. We all had a great time and learned a lot at Crystal Springs.
We can't end this presentation without showing you what happened to Jared when he carelessly left his rake lying on the ground.
Our day started out with a visit to the St. Petersburg Museum of History, the first regularly scheduled airline service in the world was established between Tampa and St. Petersburg in 1914. St. Petersburg's Museum of History has an elaborate exhibit that focuses on this aviation milestone. The exhibit includes an actual working airplane identical to the one that flew in 1914. Our museum guide was dressed in the same kind of clothes that would have been worn by the pilot as he flew the plane. She explained the exhibits and answered questions. Our next stop was at the Florida International Museum. Here we toured a fascinating exhibit devoted to the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis occurred in 1962. It was a very scary time. People thought that there was going to be a nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union. We got to tour a recreation of an underground bomb shelter. People would have gone into these shelters if a war was about to start. The shelter had food, water, and bunks for sleeping. Here is one of the actual missiles that was placed in Cuba by the Soviet Union. The explosives and fuel have been removed, but otherwise, this missile had been left just as it was in 1962. Part of the exhibit dealt with the fashions and furnishings of the early 1960s. Here is a recreation of a classroom from that time. Many of our teachers can remember practicing duck and cover air raid drills just as these students are doing. Except when our teachers did it, it was very serious business. Along with the Cuban Missile Crisis exhibit, the Florida International Museum also has a wonderful exhibit about the Hubble telescope. However, photography was not permitted in the Hubble exhibit, so we can't show you any highlights. Now it was time to eat. Miss McDaniel found a beautiful park a few blocks from the museum, and we all settled down for a picnic lunch. We had a great time and learned many new things on this wonderful trip. For the Stewart Morning Show, this is Melissa Brewster reporting.
This past Friday, many of our students visited Tampa's Museum of Science and Industry. Our first stop was the IMAX Theater where we watched a movie called Space Station. Then it was time for everyone to chow down. The highlight of the day was the opportunity to meet retired Space Shuttle astronaut Captain Winston Scott. After Captain Scott told us about his experiences aboard the space shuttle, students in the audience got to ask him questions.
Does the food in space taste any different in space than it does on Earth?
Yeah, the food does taste a little different in space, and we don't know exactly why. Probably because the fluid shift in your body, it interferes with the sinuses, and of course part of your sense of taste is coupled with smell. Smell also feeds into taste. But yeah, your food tastes different. It's a little more bland in space.
We learned a lot and had a good time on this field trip. For the Stewart Morning Show, this is Jessica Cranford reporting.
Alright, I'm Marcus Steverson, and if you look behind me is Vandenberg Airport, and we had 3 planes out here today. We had a 1945 hand prop, which is over there right now, and started by hand. Then we also have Mr. Mac's plane, which is a 4-seater plane, and another plane. It's a volunteer helping us out here today. I flew with Mr. Mac, and we had a great time. We went up and we saw Busch Gardens and went over the Hillsborough River. And we asked if we could go over Stewart, but we couldn't because Gasparilla parades today. They got restricted airspace. But it's really neat because you get a real chance to really see a view from 1,000 feet up in the air. It's really nice in a small plane if you ever get that experience.
I'm Molly McConnell. I was just up in a 4-seater with Sean Cole and his younger brother. I wasn't really scared because I've been up in a plane before. And we went over Mosey, Busch Gardens, and a few lakes, and it was really fun.
Have a good time, Corey?
Trying to get out.
You guys did well. You did well.
Hi, I'm Corey Art, and we just got off Mr. Mac's plane, and we saw the USF water tower. We saw Busch Gardens and them building the Sheikah video movie, no, not the movie, but the roller coaster. And we saw many other things. And
had a real good time?
Yeah.
Were you a little bit scared?
Yeah, when he did 0 G's, it was pretty scary because you came out of your seat and it felt like you're just floating.
Hi, I'm James Gibson and I flew in this plane with Mr. McClinsky today. We went up by Lake Thanodasassa and then we went down, we saw Highway 301 and we went past Busch Gardens and that was really cool. And
were you a little scared?
yeah, it was kind of scary when we were going up and it was like bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum. But it was pretty smooth most of the time.
Hi, I'm Chris West. Well, this little flight I was on at the Young Eagles thing in Vandenberg Airport, it was a lot of fun. I got to see the Busch Gardens, the river, and the school. And you get to see more than you do on one of those jets.
Mr. Amorati, you're about to take a flight in Mr. McClinsky's airplane. You feeling a little bit nervous, or how you feel?
Not too much nervous, but if I'm not at work on Monday, you know who to blame. That'd be Mr. Mack. So,
okay.
But, I'm feeling pretty confident right now. All right. He's already taken 3 groups up, and the takeoff's been smooth, the landing's been smooth, so feeling good.
Okay, great.
I survived.
Here's Mr. Amorati just off the plane. Mr. Amorati, tell us how it was.
Excellent experience. Mr. Mack did a wonderful job flying. We were up for about 20 minutes, and it's a new look on Tampa up that high. I'm not sure how high we were, but it was a wonderful experience. Highly recommend it for all students at Stewart and teachers as well. But very nice job for Mr. Mack doing that.
Thank you.
And thank you.
I'm Mr. Mack or Mr. McClinsky. I'd like to thank everyone who came out to our Young Eagles flyout on Saturday, and it was a wonderful turnout. We had nice flights, nice weather. We went over and saw Lake Thanodasassa, Busch Gardens, Mosey, Little Tampa Bay. It was very, very enjoyable. The kids were wonderful. Some of the kids even got to fly my airplane, and they had a lot of fun. So next time, if you can, come on out. The Young Eagles organization is an organization through the EAA, Experimental Aviation Association, and we've flown over 1.1 million students. So come on out. Thank you.
Thank you.